What if the secret to smoother skin, faded dark spots, and softer heels was sitting quietly in your kitchen this whole time? Not in a fancy jar with gold lettering, not behind a beauty counter with a 3-digit price tag. Just 2 simple, everyday ingredients you can pick up at any grocery store or pharmacy. I'll be honest, when I first heard about combining castor oil and baking soda, I was skeptical. I've tried my share of miracle DIY skin hacks over the years, and most of them either did nothing at all or left me regretting it the next morning. But this one was different. I gave it a fair shot, and to my surprise, the results spoke for themselves. My skin looked calmer, felt softer, and some of those stubborn little trouble spots finally started to improve. Here's why this combination works so well. Castor oil is rich and thick, with natural compounds like ricinoleic acid that deeply moisturize, calm irritation, and even help fight certain bacteria. Baking soda, on the other hand, is a gentle exfoliant that sweeps away dead skin cells and freshens the surface. On its own, baking soda can sometimes be too strong, especially for sensitive or aging skin, but when blended with castor oil, it's softened and balanced. You get gentle cleansing and brightening, wrapped in soothing hydration. And this isn't just about the face. Over time, I've learned there are at least 5 different ways this little duo can make life easier. Whether it's tackling blackheads, evening out skin tone, softening calluses, or even supporting digestion in a pinch. Stick with me until the end, because I'm saving one of my favorite, most unexpected uses for last. If you love simple natural remedies that actually work, drop a glow in the comments or let me know where you're reading from. I make it a point to respond to every single one. Number 1. Dry skin and loss of elasticity. One of the first changes I noticed as I got older was that my skin no longer bounced back the way it used to. Fine lines seemed to settle in more quickly, and no matter how much lotion I slathered on, my skin still felt tight and rough by the end of the day. This is a common story for many of us over 50. As we age, our sebaceous glands naturally slow down, producing less oil. Without that natural lubrication, the skin's protective barrier weakens, leading to dryness, irritation, and a loss of elasticity. It's not just cosmetic. Dry, unprotected skin is more vulnerable to damage from the sun, wind, and even the soap you use. Left unchecked, it can also make wrinkles appear deeper and more pronounced. That's where castor oil became a game changer for me. According to Health and Very Well Health, castor oil contains a rare fatty acid called ricinoleic acid, known for its anti-inflammatory and deeply moisturizing properties. It doesn't just sit on top of your skin, it penetrates into the outer layers, helping to strengthen the skin barrier and lock in hydration. This makes it especially valuable for mature skin that struggles to hold on to moisture. When I first tried it, I made the mistake a lot of people do. I used way too much. Because castor oil is thick and occlusive, over-applying can clog pores or leave you feeling greasy. And if you're prone to breakouts, this can make things worse instead of better. Through trial and error, I found the sweet spot. Here's what works for me. Always start with a patch test. Dab a small amount on the inside of your wrist or behind your ear and wait 24 hours. If there's no redness or itching, you're good to go. At night, when your skin is in repair mode, cleanse gently with a mild non-stripping cleanser, then pat dry. Warm a pea-sized amount of castor oil between your fingers and press it lightly into the driest areas. 2 to 3 times a week is plenty. Within a few weeks, I noticed that my skin felt smoother in the morning and looked less crinkled around the edges. The texture improved, and my face didn't feel like it was fighting against the elements every time I stepped outside. If you've been chasing that elusive feeling of supple, hydrated skin without investing in pricey creams, this simple step might surprise you the way it did me. From restoring moisture, let's move to another age-related change: dark spots. Number 2. Dark spots, freckles, and age spots. After my mid-50s, I started noticing small brown patches appearing on the backs of my hands, my cheeks, and along my jawline. They weren't moles, and they didn't hurt, but they made my skin look older and uneven. I knew enough about skin health to recognize them as age spots, or solar lentigynes, which are essentially areas of hyperpigmentation caused by years of accumulated sun exposure. Hormonal changes and the natural aging process can make these spots more noticeable, And once they appear, they don't just fade on their own. I've tried my share of treatments for pigmentation. Chemical peels worked, but they left my skin feeling raw and overly sensitive for days. Over-the-counter lightening creams sometimes helped, but the progress was slow and inconsistent. What I wanted was something gentler that I could use at home without worrying about long recovery times. That's when I read about the combination of baking soda and castor oil for skin tone. According to Gemma etc., baking soda acts as a mild exfoliant, gently buffing away the top layer of skin cells, some of which contain excess melanin. By encouraging the skin to shed these darker cells, you reveal fresher, more even-toned skin underneath. Castor oil complements this by moisturizing deeply and delivering anti-inflammatory benefits, which helps keep the exfoliation process from causing redness or irritation. The key here is balance. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to fade dark spots is overusing strong acids or bleaching agents. While these can speed up cell turnover, they can also thin the skin, cause redness, and increase sensitivity to sunlight, which ultimately makes pigmentation worse. Here's the method that's worked for me. In a small non-metal bowl, mix 1 tablespoon of cold-pressed castor oil with half to 1 teaspoon of fresh baking soda, depending on your skin's tolerance. Stir until it forms a smooth paste. On clean, dry skin, gently massage the mixture over the dark spots in small circles for about 30 seconds. Let it sit for another 5 to 10 minutes before rinsing off with lukewarm water. I only do this once a week, and I follow it with a hydrating, fragrance-free moisturizer. The most important step comes after, applying a broad-spectrum sunscreen every single morning, whether I plan to be outside for long or not. Without sun protection, any gains you make will be lost, and the spots can come back darker than before. After a couple of months, I noticed my spots were softer in appearance, and the overall tone of my skin was more even. It's not an overnight miracle, but it's gentle, affordable, and something I can stick with for the long term. Once pigmentation is addressed, many of us still struggle with clogged pores. Number 3. Blackheads and clogged pores. As I got older, one of the surprises no one warned me about was how much more visible my pores became. In my younger years, a little concealer could hide them completely. Now, even with makeup, I can see the texture on my cheeks, nose, and chin more clearly. Aging naturally reduces skin elasticity, so pores tend to appear larger. On top of that, slower skin turnover means more dead skin cells and oil buildup, creating the perfect environment for blackheads. I've tried pore strips, and while they give that oddly satisfying instant clean feeling, they often left my skin red and irritated. I've also tried expensive exfoliating scrubs, but some were too harsh and caused more harm than good. What I needed was a way to keep my pores clean without stripping or scratching my skin. That's where the baking soda and castor oil blend came in again. According to Natural Remedy Ideas and Soda, baking soda offers a fine, gentle grit that can loosen debris inside pores without tearing the skin's surface. Castor oil, on the other hand, softens the hardened oil plugs, sebum, and carries mild antibacterial properties to reduce the risk of breakouts. When used together, they work like a small-scale oil cleansing method combined with micro-exfoliation. The mistake many people make when dealing with clogged pores, especially in visible areas like the nose, is thinking that the harder you scrub, the better the result. In reality, aggressive scrubbing can damage skin, cause micro-tears, and trigger inflammation that makes pores look even bigger. Another mistake is doing this daily. Your skin needs time to recover between exfoliation sessions. Here's the method that works best for me. After washing my face with a gentle cleanser, I mix 1 teaspoon of baking soda with 1 tablespoon of cold-pressed castor oil in a small non-metal bowl. Using clean fingertips, I massage the paste gently into the problem areas, usually around my nose, chin, and the center of my forehead, in small circular motions for about 1 minute. I avoid pressing too hard and let the mixture's texture do the work. I rinse thoroughly with warm, not hot, water and gently pat my face dry with a soft towel. Then, I always follow with a lightweight, non-comedogenic moisturizer to keep my skin hydrated and balanced. I stick to doing this just once or twice a week, depending on how my skin feels. After a few weeks of this routine, my blackheads became less noticeable, and my skin texture felt smoother. Makeup went on more evenly, and I didn't have to rely on pore strips anymore. From the face, let's move down to the feet, an area often overlooked until discomfort sets in. Number 4. Rough heels and calluses. If there's one area of my body I used to neglect completely, it was my feet. Out of sight, out of mind, until they started to hurt. Years of walking in tight dress shoes for work, going barefoot in summer, and standing for hours at a time eventually took their toll. My heels became rough and cracked, and thick calluses formed on the balls of my feet. At first, it was just a cosmetic concern, but over time, the discomfort started affecting how I walked. According to Self and Dr. Barbara Health, calluses are the skin's way of protecting itself from repeated pressure and friction. They form when the outer layer of skin, the stratum corneum, produces extra keratin to shield the tissue underneath. The downside? This layer can become so thick and dry that it starts to crack, opening the door for pain and even infection. Like many people, I made the rookie mistake of trying to remove calluses all at once. I remember one afternoon attacking my heels with a metal foot file, determined to get them perfectly smooth. Instead, I overdid it. My skin felt raw for days, and I learned the hard way that aggressive removal can lead to bleeding, increased sensitivity, and, in some cases, infection. That's when I switched to a gentler approach with baking soda and castor oil. Baking soda's mild alkalinity helps soften keratinized skin, making it easier to slough off without force. Castor oil, with its thick, occlusive texture, penetrates deep into the rough surface, delivering fatty acids and ricinoleic acid that help restore moisture and flexibility. Here's how I use it. I mix 1 tablespoon of cold-pressed castor oil with half a teaspoon of baking soda in a small bowl. After soaking my feet in warm water for about 10 minutes to open the pores and relax the skin, I pat them dry and apply the mixture generously to my heels and any thickened areas. I let it sit for about 20 minutes, often while reading or watching TV. Once the time's up, I use a pumice stone or a fine grit foot file, never a razor blade or anything sharp, to gently buff away the softened skin. I work slowly, always in one direction, to avoid tearing. Finally, I rinse my feet with warm water, dry thoroughly, especially between the toes, and apply a rich, unscented moisturizer or a specialized foot cream. Doing this twice a week has kept my heels soft and free of deep cracks. More importantly, it has prevented that cycle of over-removal and irritation I used to fall into. While most benefits of this combo are skin-related, castor oil has one more surprising use: digestive relief. Number 5. Occasional constipation and sluggish digestion. I don't think anyone enjoys talking about digestion problems, but as we age, they become a more common part of life. For me, it started in my early 60s, those days when everything in my gut just seemed to slow down. What used to be regular suddenly wasn't, and I found myself feeling bloated, heavy, and uncomfortable. According to Verywell Health and Health, occasional constipation in older adults is often linked to reduced physical activity, lower fluid intake, and the natural slowing of peristalsis, the muscle contractions that move food through the intestines. Certain medications and dietary changes can also make the problem worse. I had always known castor oil as something my grandmother kept in the medicine cabinet, but I'd never tried it myself until I learned that the FDA officially recognizes castor oil, in measured doses, as an over-the-counter stimulant laxative. The active component, ricinoleic acid, works by stimulating the muscles in the intestines, encouraging them to contract and push waste through more quickly. Baking soda, while not a laxative, has its own digestive role. It can temporarily neutralize excess stomach acid, which may relieve occasional heartburn or indigestion. However, it's important to note that it's not a long-term fix for digestive problems and should be used sparingly. The biggest mistake people make with castor oil is assuming that if a small dose works, a bigger one will work faster. In reality, overuse can lead to dehydration, electrolyte imbalances, and even dependency, where your bowels stop moving properly without it. The same goes for baking soda. Taking too much can throw off your body's natural pH balance and cause discomfort or worse. Here's what's worked for me when I truly need it. For mild constipation, I take between 1 teaspoon and 1 tablespoon of cold-pressed, food-grade castor oil mixed into a small glass of warm water or juice. I do this in the morning, and I make sure I have nowhere urgent to be for the next several hours. It typically works within 6 to 8 hours. I limit this to no more than a few times a month, and only when other gentle methods like fiber, hydration, and light exercise haven't done the trick. As for baking soda, I only use it when I have occasional acid indigestion. I dissolve half a teaspoon in at least 4 ounces of water and sip slowly. This is something I might do once in a blue moon, not daily, and always within the recommended safety guidelines. By respecting these boundaries, I found that both castor oil and baking soda can be useful allies in digestive health without causing the problems that come from overuse. Now that we've covered the 5 main uses, let's talk about the science behind this duo, and the important safety notes you shouldn't skip. While my personal results with castor oil and baking soda have been positive, I'm the first to admit that I wanted science to back it up. According to Verywell Health and Health, castor oil's reputation isn't just an old wives' tale. It's FDA approved as an over-the-counter stimulant laxative. Beyond digestion, research points to its moisturizing and anti-inflammatory properties, which can help restore the skin barrier and even soothe mild joint pain when applied topically. Baking soda has its own track record. Dermatologists sometimes use it in controlled ways to relieve itching, calm mild skin irritation, or help manage certain conditions like psoriasis. However, sources like The Sun UK caution that overuse can disrupt the skin's natural pH, leading to dryness and irritation, especially for those with sensitive skin. From my own experience and what the science says, here's the safest way forward. Always start with a patch test before applying the mixture to larger areas. Limit use to once or twice a week to avoid over-exfoliating or stripping the skin. Follow every treatment with a nourishing moisturizer and, for daytime applications, a broad-spectrum SPF. If redness, stinging, or unusual irritation appears, stop immediately. For anyone with underlying conditions, especially skin disorders, kidney problems, or chronic digestive issues, consult a doctor before adding this to your routine. The goal is to work with your body, not against it. Over the past few months, I've watched this humble blend help me tackle 5 stubborn issues: dry, aging skin, dark spots, clogged pores, rough heels, and occasional sluggish digestion. The best part is that it's simple, budget-friendly, and already hiding in most kitchens. What I love most is how approachable it is. There's no need for expensive spa treatments or dozens of bottles cluttering your bathroom. Just 2 ingredients, mixed with care, can deliver noticeable changes, if you give them time and use them correctly. My advice: listen to your skin and your body. Be patient, gentle, and consistent. This isn't about overnight miracles. It's about gradual, lasting improvement. If you've ever tried this combo or you're curious to start, comment below below or share where you're reading from. I read every single message and respond personally. You never know, your story might inspire someone else to give their own kitchen remedies a second look.